Hi there, Andrea Hayley-Sankaran here. Welcome to my channel. This is where I talk about all things Ayurveda. So if you love Ayurveda too, then you're in the right place and you might want to hit the subscribe button right now. Today we're talking about Vata Dosha. We'll talk about what is Vata Dosha, and then I'm going to describe what it feels like when your Vata is balanced, followed by what it feels like when Vata is imbalanced. Now, as you may know, there are three main doshas in Ayurveda, and you have all three doshas within you in different proportions. So whether you're dominant in Vata, a dual dosha with Vata, or Vata is less prominent in you, you can still experience a Vata imbalance. So today I'm going to use plenty of examples to help you to identify where on the spectrum between balance and imbalance your Vata is. Now, before we dive in, I want to remind you that Ayurveda isn't about memorizing Vata qualities or characteristics. To really experience the Ayurvedic approach to healthy living and to use this lifestyle to discover and keep your internal balance, you'll want to take the information in and test how it feels. So when I'm talking, try to feel if what I'm saying is something that you're currently experiencing or you have experienced. And then connect that information to the experience of that being balance or imbalance, so that the next time it shows up in your life, you'll know exactly what to do. Okay, so let's get started. What is Vata Dosha? So Vata is the energy of movement. It's creative and mobile energy, and the kind of energy that just wants to spend itself quickly, which is well represented by a bumblebee that flits from flower to flower to get all the good pollen, and the creativity that the bee has to find its food in all these different little nooks and crannies in the flowers. Now, Vata Dosha is made from air and ether, and that is a very cold combination, right? Outer space is very cold, and it's a dry combination, and it's very subtle. They're the lightest of the elements. You know, just think about ether, right? Think about space and how subtle that is. You know, space is kind of like consciousness, that element in Ayurveda. And then there's the rough quality. So when you're cold, you actually feel contracted, and that feels rough, right? That inhibits movement and flow. You know, just like if you're shivering. And also, like if you have dry skin gets flaky, and that's pretty rough, right? So these are the qualities of Vata. And getting back to this idea of movement, because everything that moves is Vata, it's very easy for air to move, right? And that's the subtleness and quickness to this kind of movement, how easy it flits and moves. And these elements of Vata, only Vata has. And so everything that moves is ruled by Vata in the body. And this includes physical actions like literal movements, and breathing. Breath is movement, and blood circulation is movement, and the movement of food through the digestive tract and the discharge of waste is movement, and the transfer of nutrients into our cells, which is what nourishes us. And nerve impulses, you can't get any more subtle than that. And thoughts. So think about that in terms of Vata. Now, Vata's metabolism is catabolic, which means Vata is really good at burning energy, which is why Vata's like the busy bumblebee. Since this is their nature, Vata people tend to think fast, talk fast, and move fast. So have you ever met somebody who's just talking a mile a minute? They probably have a lot of Vata. Now, sometimes Vata people even feel like they just have to burn up some of that energy. It's literally, motivating them to maybe go for a run and get some exercise. There might be a strong desire to work out that energy through movement, especially when there's emotions kind of welling up and bothering the person. Now, bumblebees also eat honey. And so Vata types are really nourished and energized by the sweet taste. Now, Vata is the luckiest dosha when it comes to food, since Vata gets to enjoy the sweet, salty, and sour tastes. And that's, pretty much Vata's domain. Pitta gets sweet too, but it's different. And Vatas also get to consume more fat than anybody else, and this is to balance out their dry and rough qualities. And so in the picture, you see a fettuccine Alfredo pasta that's pretty perfect for Vata, even with the addition of meat. And now looking at this, that might be hard for some of us who gain weight easily to even imagine. But since Vata has such a fast metabolism, it generally doesn't cause weight gain for them, and a meal like this can actually be very supportive. Vata is associated with having a light and thin frame and a narrow face, body, and features. And most models today are actually dominant Vata types. Vata is also associated with dry, frizzy hair and the fall and winter seasons. Do you see how dry, cold, and rough these seasons are compared to the lushness of spring and summer? That is Vata. And so as we age, Vata tends to increase. So childhood is associated with kapha, all the, chubby baby fat, the growth of kapha. And then the prime of life is associated with pitta, getting things done, being responsible. And then in old age, there's withering, deficiency, contraction, constriction, shrinking. All these are signs of aging, and all of these are Vata attributes. So next we'll talk about what it feels like when Vata is in balance, because balance is always the goal. And if you're a dominant Vata, this is how you want to feel. Every dosha has their balanced state or their steady state. So what does it feel like if you're a dominant Vata dosha and you're in balance? So when Vata dosha is in balance, one may feel grounded and light at the same time. And in this state, you will feel powerful and possess the innate ability to receive inspiration, create, and maybe do something new, pioneer something new. Your body feels free and flexible, and there's no pain in your joints. And if you're following an exercise or movement routine, it's one that's rhythmic and flowing, such as walking, mild or slow jogging, swimming, cycling, or dancing. So rhythmic and flowing movement balances your rough and fast qualities and are exceptionally soothing, and you've learned that. You're also comfortable and warm all over, and your skin and hair is glowing from all the healthy fats you use both internally and externally. And your mind feels like it's in a Zen creative state. You have the energy to work on whatever it is you're doing, as well as the wisdom to know when to take breaks, to rest and restore. And when worrisome things arise, you breathe through it. Remember, you flow through it. You remind yourself to go with the flow. So you're flowing and expanding and breathing as difficulties come up. And you especially prioritize breaks to nourish yourself properly with cooked, juicy, liquidy food enhanced with healthy fats. And you enjoy 3 good meals a day and sometimes snacks, such as golden milk, puddings, and date milkshakes. And you've understood that dry and crunchy snacks like crackers and granola bars aren't so much for you. You especially cherish your bedtime routine of a warm bath, self-massage with oils, and gratitudes, because it helps you to calm down your mind so that you can drift into a deep and restorative sleep before 10 p.m. So all that sounds really good, right? You feel good, and there's a whole lot of nurturing and soothing involved. Vata needs that. Now, what happens if you don't give yourself what you need? Next, we'll talk about Vata out of balance. What does it feel like when Vata Dosha is out of balance? Now, Vata is strongly imbalanced by cold weather and chilly, windy drafts that can easily leave you feeling strung out and scattered. Every bone and joint in your body may hurt at some point throughout the day. This spot, now that spot, the joints are the first place that toxins tend to deposit when the digestive system gets weak and sensitive. It also feels really hard to keep warm, especially your nose and your hands and your shins and your head and your toes. So you're constantly trying to cuddle yourself to keep warm and curling up under blankets every chance you get. Sometimes the wind gets into your ears and plugs them up, causing them to ring. And that's the dry quality invading through your ears. You might feel wired. Your nervous system and adrenals are activated, and you can never seem to get into a relaxed state. Sometimes even after an entire night's sleep, you still don't feel relaxed. If you slept, that is. So you're feeling on edge, constantly in fight or flight, and you don't even know why. Of course, digestion doesn't work so well in this state either, and you're feeling sensitive to everything, including sound. The music or the TV just feels too loud, and your peace is easily disturbed. Now, why doesn't your mind ever turn off? It's nonstop. And those thoughts are dominated by fear, worry, and concern. If only I did this or that better. But what? Can I? Am I good enough? I don't know. So many thoughts round and round. And you find that you're mindlessly reaching for snacks instead of meals, or somehow you've convinced yourself that smoothies, juices, and salads are the right foods for you. They are not. You'll have coffee and chocolate too, even if it does make you feel more jittery. You might feel like you're floating on air, and you're kind of comfortable in your misery in a sad sort of way, even if there is this nagging feeling that something just isn't right. You might be wishing that your skin wasn't so dry all the time, and that you weren't so backed up. Is it really such a badge of honor? Your throat feels scratchy, dry, and you're looking in the mirror a lot, noticing those signs of premature aging. You might even be obsessed with your appearance or something else. So strong imbalances are created when there's an unconscious attraction to things that create the imbalance in the first place, and Vata tends toward this. And the worse that imbalance gets, you're prone to escapism, addiction, running away, denial, and fear. So your soul is really crying out for love, attention, and self-care, but you have to bring yourself back from the cliff to believe that you deserve it first. Now, of course you do. It's time for a change. So let's talk about Vata's medicine. Vata's greatest medicine. So the first thing is to establish a daily routine, to eat square meals instead of grazing, and to nurture and nourish your sensitive self with massage oils and loving self-care, as much as you can take, because it's going to take some time to restore those frazzled nerves. But the journey is definitely going to be a rewarding one. So thank you. That's it for today's video on Vata Dosha. Make sure you check out the other videos in this series. There's What is a Dosha? And also videos on Pitta Dosha and Kapha Dosha, and maybe others. Just take a look. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you enjoyed this video. I enjoyed making it, and I do hope to see you in a future video. That's it. Bye for now.